Now, we are thinking of happiness like it's some kind of a commodity or some kind of an attainment. No, when your life comes to ease, when you come to ease, happiness is a natural consequence. Coming to ease, what does it mean? There are many ways to look at this. Well, because I should not say look inward, you already put a condition on me. So, is it true that today, even medically we know, every human experience has a chemical basis to it? So what you call as peace is one kind of chemistry, happiness is another kind of chemistry, joy is another kind of chemistry, misery is another kind of chemistry, agony is one kind of chemistry, ecstasy is another kind of chemistry. Every human experience has a chemical base. Or in other words, you are a very complex chemical soup. The question is only, are you a great soup or a lousy soup? If you're a great soup, you taste good, not for somebody, for yourself. When you taste very good for yourself, if you sit here, if you feel extremely pleasant within yourself because the soup is great, then people say you are happy. If you become very, very pleasant, people will say you're joyful. If you become super pleasant, people will say you're ecstatic. So, to make it very simple and understandable for most people, your chemistry needs to be altered. There's a whole technology with which we can create the kind of chemistry that you want. If I teach you how to create a blissful chemistry within yourself, your very chemistry is blissful and you will be blissful. When you're blissful, you will no more be in pursuit of happiness. That is the biggest mistake, that we are in pursuit of happiness. Your life has to become an expression of joy. When your life is an expression of your experience, then what you do, what you do not do will not determine the quality of your life. How you are within yourself will determine the quality of your life. I'm sorry, once again I use the word within, but chemistry is not within, it is still outside of you. But if you know how to make the right soup, then being joyful is not an issue, it's a natural consequence of that. So, we can teach you a technology, we can teach you a methodology with which you will know how to stir the right kind of soup within you. This is what I'm calling as inner engineering, that you engineer your chemistry in such a way that it's blissful by its own nature, not because of some… If you think you're going to squeeze happiness out of something or somebody, you will be disappointed because nothing will yield anything unless you have a chemistry of blissfulness within you.
I want to ask you a very simplistic question, but it's something that evades everybody. How does one manage to find happiness?
Oh.
It's a really simple question. But no one today is happy.
Where do you see that?
Yeah,
Do I look unhappy?
You don't. So many people around us are just not, or they're not be able to be happy for other people or just with what they have necessarily. They're always looking for the next goal, purpose, something. It could be material vindication, it could be experiential, anything.
One simple thing is, every human experience has a chemical basis to it.
Okay.
What you call as peace is one kind of chemistry, what you call as happiness or joy is another kind of chemistry, ecstasy is one kind of chemistry, agony is another kind of chemistry, anxiety another kind of chemistry, stress another kind of chemistry. All levels of pleasantness and unpleasantness is rooted in a certain chemical background within you.
Okay.
Or in other words, what you call as this is a certain chemical soup. The question is only, are you a great soup or a lousy soup?
Okay.
Now, if I give soup making ingredients to 10 different people, the same ingredients, 10 people will not produce the same soup.
True.
10 soups will taste in 10 different ways, though the ingredients are same. Similarly, all of us are made with the same ingredients.
Right.
But see in how many different ways we made ourselves. So it's time to pay attention to soup making, that this is a great soup, this is not a lousy soup.
Okay.
If you establish a chemistry of blissfulness,
Right.
that's how you will be. This is what we're teaching people. We are not advising people to be happy or peaceful. We are teaching them how to engineer your chemistry the way you want it.
Okay.
You create a chemistry of blissfulness, then why are you bothered about being happy? That's how it'll be.
In fact, Sadhguru, you've in fact created an organization where there is a lot of, people are volunteering, they're happy. There's a very positive vibe and culture, for instance. How have you managed to create such an organization?
Wonderful people around me. Wherever I go, whichever part of the world I am in, not a single day passes for me
Right.
without witnessing tears of joy and love around me. Every day, somebody will be shedding tears of love and joy. I don't think there's a better way to live in this world. And all of us should strive to create our own circles of joyfulness and pleasantness around us. Because if you're not joyful by your own nature, if you're always going around with the fear of suffering, as long as fear of suffering is there within you, you will never walk your life with full stride. It'll always be half a step. Most human beings have crippled themselves simply because of fear of suffering. What will happen to me is always the question. Whatever happens, this is how I will be. If this assurance comes to you, only now you will want to scale the peaks of life and see what about it. If it happens, makes no difference to you. If it doesn't happen, makes no difference to you. That's when you would like to really explore every dimension of life. So first and foremost thing is this, that your way of being is not determined by what's around you. If you bring this one aspect to you, there is no fear of suffering. Once there is no fear of suffering, you will traverse the breadth and length of this life without hesitation.
Just working hard doesn't do things in the world. This is the biggest problem. Right from your childhood, your parents taught you, if you study, how should you study? Study hard. If you work, how should you work? Work hard. You do everything hard. If you do things hard, things won't happen. You'll become a donkey's life, just doing everything hard. Nobody told you, you must study in joy. Nobody told you, you must work in love. They told you, you must do it hard. They made their lives very difficult for themselves. Now they're ensuring that your life becomes difficult too. Why do you work hard? What are you working hard? If it's hard, give it up. If you can do it joyfully, you do it. Otherwise, don't do it, isn't it? Isn't it so? If you're going to make yourself miserable in the process of working, what use is your work to yourself or to anybody around you? You just sit at the temple gates and beg and eat, it's better. Somebody will throw you 1 rupee, 2 rupee. You eat out of it, at least that you do joyfully, sit there happily, eat what people throw you there. If you're going to make it so hard for yourself, I'm sure you're making it very hard for everybody around you, isn't it? If you're going to spread misery in the world, it's better you don't do anything. If you're going to spread joy in the world, go and do as much as you can. Now you work hard. Just because you work hard, things need not happen, and they do not happen. One day it happened. Can I tell you a joke? Shankaran Pillai's old ambassador wouldn't start. Does anybody still own ambassador? No? All of you evolved out of it. His old ambassador wouldn't start. So he went home. He had a kitten at home. He brought the kitten, harnessed it to the ambassador. He said, "Go, let's go, let's go." People looked at this and said, "Are you crazy? Can this little kitten pull the ambassador car? Generally, it takes God to move this car." "What are you doing?" Shankaran Pillai said, "Don't you fool yourself, I have a horsewhip." You believe you can do everything hard and it'll work. It'll not work just because you do it hard. You must do the right thing, only then it works, isn't it? If you do not do the right thing, it does not work. People who are successful not because necessarily they work hard, they just know what's the right thing to do with their kind of job. That's why they're successful. Another day, Shankaran Pillai fell into the septic tank. I want you to imagine. Right up till here in filth. Please imagine it. He tried to get out desperately, he couldn't. Then after some time, he started screaming, "Fire, fire, fire!" Neighbors heard the fire screams, called the fire brigade. The firemen came and looked everywhere, no fire. Then they found him in the septic tank, pulled him out. And then they asked, "Why were you screaming fire?" Then Shankaran Pillai retorted, "If I said shit, shit, would you come?" You must do the right thing, otherwise it doesn't work. So just working hard will not do. You must do the right thing, otherwise it doesn't work.
I come from a generation when Che Guevara was our hero. They've been hired and they've been asked to… they were given a mandate, write something negative about him. 1.3 billion people, we could take this massive population across from one level of living to another. Everybody's telling me, "Sadhguru, don't step into this political arena." I still carry an Indian passport, I can speak.
In recent times, you are speaking strongly about the well-being of our nation seems to have unleashed a motivated campaign of vile personal attacks on you by a small section of media. I am shocked and intrigued as to why speaking about the nation's well-being should evoke such negative emotions. Sadhguru, I've been here for a while and I personally don't feel you are against anybody. But do you think that these people feel that you are in some way against them and that's the reason they are attacking you?
That's a very small segment. In this also there are various types. Let's say there are three types of people who are reacting to whatever I'm saying. One is, these are leftovers from the socialist era. Well, I come from a generation when Che Guevara was our hero. We were all thinking of an armed revolution. Really, we thought that's the only solution. But those times have passed. The time for armed revolution anywhere in the world is over because It's like still that Second Amendment thing that's going on in United States. Still, this whole thing was made because my property, my family, I can defend with my shotgun and my rifle. But today you're talking about fighting the US Army with your shotgun and rifle. Have you lost it? So I'm saying armed revolution is over because arms have gone to another level. It's not possible anymore to bring about change. You can only destroy something with arms. You cannot change things with arms anymore. So, they are still leftovers from there, they're still dreaming about an armed revolution. If you speak anything for the democratic values of this nation, they react. They're okay. Because I feel they're a bit misguided but genuine people in some way. There's another set of people who are religious people in the garb of atheists. They're actually deeply religious people, but they have discovered that talking atheism is a good way to spread their religion. They're always attacking me, it doesn't matter what I say. If they see my name, they will go at it. Well, that's an extremely small number, so let's ignore that. There's another set. These are professional times. People have to do something to earn a living. It's a pathetic way to earn a living. When you don't do anything significant in your life, you make a living by constantly deriding somebody, whatever they're doing, without even looking at it, you go on saying something negative and you make a living out of it. It's a pathetic way to make a living. And above all, journalism is in a democracy, it's a sacred profession. It's a sacred calling. Well, you may also earn something that's different. But today, there is a bunch of journalists, not all of them, a bunch of them, who can be bought and sold. And they are trying to earn their living. If I say everybody should vote, who is it you tell us we should vote? Whatever, it doesn't matter. If I say democracy is about all of us getting together and creating a wonderful nation, oh, what does he know about democracy? No, democracy is about criticizing each other something. Because it's quite hilarious because they've been hired and they've been asked to… they were given a mandate to write something negative about him. Some time ago, somebody asked me this question, Sadhguru, what is your greatest achievement in all these many things you're doing? What do you think is an achievement? I said, see, I don't really look at life like that. But if I have to say something, the greatest achievement for me is, I have made thousands and thousands of people, hundreds and thousands of people, to shift from working for a living to simply doing something that means something to them in their life. So, my major part of my activity is to shift people from making a living to make a life out of this, a significant life out of this. Significance not in the world, significant as a life. Not because I think I'm great, simply that the life has to become significant. Life becomes significant when it reverberates in a certain way, when it functions beyond its own survival. But unfortunately, a few people have to live a pathetic life where they sell themselves to say whatever they're expected to say, no matter whether it makes sense for them or not. But these are small numbers, it's okay. We will continue to speak about the nation, not because I am very nationalistic as such, I am not. But right now, for me, India is a large segment of humanity, 1.3 billion people in one nation. And a large number of them have had such a bad deal in the last 10 to 15 generations because of occupation and slavery and so many things, poverty. Right now we're sitting on a threshold where if you do the right things in the next 5–10 years, we could take this massive population across from one level of living to another. I don't want some idiot to mess it up, that's the reason why I'm standing up and speaking for the nation. Because this is a kind of possibility that's never happened before in the history of humanity. Never before this many people had the opportunity to move from one level to another. The only other nation which has done this in recent times is the China. A lot of you are here. But the Chinese did it the hard way, in a forceful way. Well, that was a different level of slumber that nation was in, and they did it in a very hard way. But in India, right now we are sitting on a threshold where, in a democratic way, we can take nearly 600 million people from one level of living to another. This can happen in the next 10 years' time, we're just on the edge of that. I don't want this possibility to be destroyed by anybody because of their personal agendas. That's the only reason why I'm speaking strongly, stepping out. Everybody's telling me, Sadhguru, don't step into this political arena. I'm not going to get into politics, but I still carry an Indian passport, I can speak. Would I kill the baby Hitler?
Knowing that 6 million Jews could be saved from your action?
See, Adolf Hitler is a consequence, is not the cause of World War II. In the sense, there has been centuries of hatred about the Jewish people. It did not suddenly crop up because of Adolf Hitler. Well, he used it politically to do all kinds of things, that's a different matter. But this hatred has been endemic in the population. Not for 1 or 2 years, for literally 18 centuries. It's been alive. Now, Adolf Hitler became a representative of that hatred, and he consolidated that hatred, organized it in such a way that it became a mega disaster. But the disaster has been unfolding for a long time. Forever people have been accusing Jews of being a Jesus killer and wanting to get them in so many ways they've been persecuted, not in one way. Every generation has small-scale persecutions happening in various societies across that part of the world at least, not here. So, when Adolf Hitler came, he saw what you are accusing of Adolf Hitler is competence. Everybody had the same hatred. He organized his hatred into a very competent, results-oriented thing. Any number of human beings have come who are as much tyrannical as Adolf Hitler. Fortunately, they were not as competent. I don't know if he studied in IIM because his organizing skills are extraordinary. You have to look at that. If only if he had organized this, not against a particular community, but for the well-being of the world, what a fantastic organizer he is. So his competence is what we're talking about. Hatred was there in the society. He organized it and made it into an end result of a disastrous kind. See, in every generation there are tyrants. Fortunately, they're important. Fortunately, they're everywhere. Don't think they're not there. Every day I'm meeting thousands of people. You should see what kind of mindsets people have. How much endemic hatred they have for somebody that they do not even know, including me. People who have never met me, people who have not had a word with me, they have so much hatred. Say, what's the problem? You've not even seen me yet. But no. So this endemic hatred is bred in the society in the form of religion, in our society in the form of caste, creed, ideologies. See, everybody is focused on Adolf Hitler. I'm not trying to belittle what he did. He is one man, so many people cause pain to each other, but he is one man who organized human pain like nobody else. He made a machine out of it. In a real organized way, like an industry. He did not do killing just for killing's sake, he made a killing industry, proper industry. Actually, they set up factories of death. So never before nobody organized it, but don't ever think nobody had those intentions, nobody had those same emotions, they had. But this man organized. So would you kill the baby Hitler? No, it wouldn't help, because another guy maybe with competence would have come up. You never know. So, what we need to work at is, we need to work at, as I was telling you, a culture of peace. This is important. We never worked at culture of peace. Only when it explodes in our face, we want it solved. Otherwise, we're just going about our business. The way we are driving on the street is violent, all right? It's not fast, it's just violent. I wish they were driving fast. If they were skilled, they would be driving fast. They're unskilled and they're violent drivers. Violence means you don't mind if somebody gets hurt, isn't it? Hello? Violence need not necessarily mean I'm going to throw a projectile at you. I don't care if you get hurt. This is violence, isn't it? So this is all over the place. We need to see culture is not something that you can build overnight. Slogans you can build overnight. You can do anti-demonstrations overnight. You cannot build a culture overnight. It takes a lifetime of dedication to bring that about. Nobody has shown that dedication. Everybody wants immediate solution. When something explodes, everybody will scream. Once it's over, they go about their business. So, it is very important. I want you to understand, Adolf Hitlers can be born just about anywhere. Just about anywhere. Because the culture of disliking and hating other people who are not like you is so rooted in the society, it's just a question of, he must do an MBA here. I'm giving compliments to the institution, it's not…
Completely get it, but the main issue over here is that you tackle the root causes rather than manifestations of the…
Yes.
Exactly, so…
Consequences cannot be dealt with. It is the process we need to address. If your mind took instructions from you, would you create anxiety? No. So don't look for answers elsewhere, elsewhere, elsewhere. It is just that your own physiology and your psychological patterns not taking instructions from you. So you said so many things, I try, whatever these big words are floating all over California particularly, about surrendering to it, about letting it go, about… Not for one person has such a thing worked, ever. Has it, I'm asking you? You have anxiety, try to let it go. Does it go? Even a damn flu doesn't go. Yes or no? Even a simple cold does not go, you say go, does it go? So, let's not get into this fanciful states of surrendering, these are all words thrown around. Nobody knows what is surrender. Because when it happens, you will not know it has happened. You can't do it, I surrendered. How's that possible? So, leaving those things, essentially, as I said, you have not read the user's manual. How this works, we need to pay attention to this.
The system is made in such a way, if you hold your hand like this, it'll work one way. If you do like this, it'll work another way. If you do like that, it'll work another way. It's a phenomenal process. If it was a simple thing, we could have just beaten it into shape with hammer and anvil, okay? It's too sophisticated. It's a phenomenally complex machine. One needs to pay a certain level of attention to be able to use it for what it is designed for. Otherwise, it'll get itself messed up. Now, there may be many factors, there may be genetic factors, there may be sociological factors, there may be growing up issues, various things. But do not ascribe your problems to any of those things. The important thing is just this: you are not able to have your mind the way you want it. That's the only problem you have, isn't it? The moment you ascribe it, I'm like this because my father was like that, I'm like this because my grandfather's genetics were not okay, you're finished. Because we can't change those guys now. Yes? You can't choose a different father or a different grandfather now, it's over. But you can transform this. You must understand, still it doesn't matter you have anxiety disorder. Still, if you put a piece of carrot, there is an intelligence here which can transform a carrot into a human being. That means every day a new body is being manufactured within you, isn't it? In parts, a new human being is manufactured every day. When the very source of creation is functioning within you and a new human being is constantly being created, if you take little charge of that, you can create an entire new physiological and psychological process. This happened to us some time ago. Last year, we were trekking in Tibet. I was in a tent. I was doing some work and another person was cutting an apple. One of these porcelain knives these days. So the other person around says to this person, "It's a very sharp knife, be careful." Still did look like this because he's a grown man. If it's a child, it's different. Then we have to watch how he uses the knife. It's a full-grown man and a knife is supposed to be sharp. If it's not sharp, why do you call it a knife? So I ignored it and continued to work. In another 2 minutes, she says again, "It's a very sharp knife, be careful." I said, "Come on, he's a full-grown man, leave him alone, he knows how to use this knife. This stupid knife can't he handle? It's not some earth-moving machinery or spacecraft or something that he doesn't know how to handle. It's a knife." She says, "No, Sadhguru, it's a very sharp knife." All right. And I continue what I'm doing. In another 2 minutes, she whispers to, "Please be careful, very sharp." And in another 2 minutes, he cuts his finger. Then I give up, okay. This is all that's happening. This is all that's happening with life. You have an intellect for which you don't have a stable enough platform. Or in other words, you have a sharp knife, a very sharp knife a very sharp knife in your hand, but your hand is not steady. Please see, it's your own mind which is causing all this pain, isn't it? Yes or no? So you have a very sharp knife, the sharper it is, the more you cut yourself. So we don't have to blunt the knife. We just have to have a steady hand, isn't it? Nothing has been done about that. People are trying to blunt the knife with all these sedatives and nonsense. What you take is to blunt the knife. Blunting the knife is not the answer, because if you lower the possibilities of who you are, everything will be okay. If you remove half of your brain, you will be quite peaceful. Because it takes some brain to cause anxiety.
If we really remove half of your brain, you will be quite peaceful and you may even be happy, actually. Nothing bothers you. You'll be okay. All right? But that's not what we're looking for. What a human being is looking for is to become limitless in some way. And if this has to happen, you have to create a steady platform. Knife need not be taken away, knife need not be blunted. Only thing is, hand needs to be steadied. No process to do that. What inner engineering means, what yoga means is just this. When I say yoga, being in California, don't imagine all those impossible postures. Yoga does not mean postures, yoga means union, okay? The word yoga literally means union. This is the first form of union. Your right and left. This is called as Pingala and Ida in yoga, the masculine and the feminine within you. Just put it together, just do the simple sadhana, all of you. If you can't do any other yoga, this much you can do, isn't it? What you do is something that concerns your life. It could be the sun coming up. Sun is coming up. Without sun coming up, you wouldn't exist on this planet, isn't it? The warmth of life is going on within you only because the sun comes up. Without the tree exhaling oxygen and you exhaling carbon dioxide for it and this exchange happening, you wouldn't be alive, isn't it? Like this, look at it, the food that you eat, the sun, the earth that you walk upon, air that you breathe, water that you drink, people who live around you, whatever, you choose anyone. Just do this, put your right and left together perfectly, not like this, not like this, perfectly, okay? Just look at something that really matters to you. Maybe the sun, maybe the sky, maybe the cloud, maybe a tree, maybe a person, maybe a child, an animal, it doesn't matter what. Just look at it, putting your hands together for 10–12 minutes at a stretch. You will see half your anxiety will start settling down. Because essentially the conflict is, there are two dimensions within you. I don't want to go into an elaborate description of this, because the yogic physiology goes elaborately into this. But to put it simply, even the modern medical science is telling you there's a right brain and a left brain, all right? Just put these two things together, look at with utmost love and appreciation towards something that matters to you. It could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your child, a tree, a dog, sky, sun, moon, whatever. Every one of them are vital for your life, isn't it so? Yes? Whatever you can relate to. Putting these two things together, just look at them with utmost pleasantness that you can generate, recognizing how important they are for you. Many things will change. This is the first form of yoga. If I do this, it'll become difficult. And there are many ways to do namaskar, like this, like that, like that. This is the most simple thing. Start here, okay.
Thank you for joining us. Please share your observations on this subject in the comments, subscribe to continue our journey together, and invite others to join this path. See you soon.